Our family trip went south when his parents bought first-class seats for everyone, except me. We thought you'd prefer something simpler, they claimed. My husband laughed it off, until I pulled out my own ticket. Good thing I just planned a solo getaway. In first class. Their smiles vanished as I walked onto the plane alone. Pretend that subscribe button is your ex, and hit it like your life depended on it. And let's get into the story. I'm 30 and have always had a weird relationship with my family. Not abusive, just distant. Growing up, I was the reliable one. Quiet. Good grades. Never asked for anything. My younger brother, Jason, was the exact opposite. Always in trouble, always the center of attention. Guess who got all the praise? It's whatever. I moved out at 18, worked 2 jobs through college, paid off my loans, got married to Ben, and built a quiet, stable life. I never asked my parents for anything. We weren't close, but we kept in touch around birthdays and holidays. So when they invited Ben and me on a big family vacation to Spain, I thought, maybe they were trying to reconnect. My dad even called and said, "We'd love to have you both. Don't worry about the costs. We'll handle everything." I should have known better. Jumped to the airport. Ben and I were running a little behind because he forgot his laptop charger. Nothing major, just a slight delay. We got to the gate, right as boarding was starting. My parents and Jason were already there, sipping champagne in the first-class lounge like royalty. My mom greeted us like she was hosting a dinner party. "Oh, good, you made it," she said. I laughed, still catching my breath. "Where do we check in?" "Oh, I already picked up your boarding passes," she said, handing me an envelope. I opened it. Seat 46E. Middle seat. Economy. Back of the plane. Right by the restroom. I laughed. Thought it was a joke. "Okay, but seriously, where are our real seats?" My dad looked confused. "That is your seat." I turned to Ben. His face said it all. Same envelope, same surprise. "Wait, you're all flying first class." My mom sipped her drink. "Well, yeah. We used your father's miles. His back can't handle long flights anymore." "And Jason?" I asked. Jason raised his glass. "Seat 1A, baby." I just stood there. "So, everyone gets first class but me?" My mom waved it off. "We figured you wouldn't mind. You've always been fine flying coach." I said nothing. Ben leaned in and muttered, "Maybe they didn't mean anything by it." I nodded. Not because I believed that. Because I was trying not to lose it. They invited me on this trip and treated me like a +1. Like baggage they had to drag along. Ben went to the bathroom. I told him I'd wait by the window. I didn't. I walked straight to the counter, canceled my seat, and requested a refund for the baggage upgrade and insurance. Then I opened a travel app and started browsing. Within minutes, I found it. A first-class flight to Seoul leaving in less than 2 hours. Lie-flat seat. Michelin-star meals. Peace. Screw it, I booked it. I walked back, just as boarding began. My mom asked, "You coming?" "Nope," I said, pulling out my phone. "Not going to Spain. I'm flying to Seoul. Alone. First class." My dad blinked. "What are you talking about?" I smiled. "You figured I'd be fine in the back of the plane. Turns out I'm also fine going solo." Their jaws dropped. Ben came back mid-convo. "Wait, what?" "I'm not going," I repeated. "Enjoy Spain." And I walked away. Those 2 weeks in Korea were pure bliss. I stayed at a small Hanok guest house, soaked in hot springs, ate street food at midnight, watched the sunrise from mountain trails, and drank tea in silence. No pressure. No guilt. I posted a few photos, not to show off. Just enough for my mom to know I was alive and thriving. Ben texted a few times, said the trip was awkward without me, and that my parents felt bad. Too late. When I got home, there were no flowers. No apology. Just silence. Ben came back a few days later. We didn't say much until he finally said, "That was bold." "Are you mad?" I asked. "They're mad. Said you embarrassed them." I let out a dry laugh. "Good," he added. "They think you owe them a conversation." I blinked. They invited me. Dumped me in the back. And I'm the problem. Ben didn't respond. Just walked into the bedroom. And that's when it hit me. He didn't defend me. Not at the airport. Not during the trip. Not even now. Then the family group chat lit up. First message, "Mom, we need to talk." In person. Me, why? "Dad, you humiliated us." Jason, "Everyone in first class noticed your little stunt." Me, "I didn't perform." I left. Jason, "You made it weird." Mom cried. Me, "You're upset I didn't sit quietly and act grateful." Dad, "We paid for your trip." Me, "You paid for your trip. You made it clear I wasn't part of it." Mom, "We didn't mean it that way." Me. But you did it on purpose. Silence. Then Ben chimed in. Can we not do this over text? Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet at their house for dinner. Ben came too. It started off fake friendly. Normal. Too normal. Then out of nowhere, my mom set down her fork. We're not the enemy. You could have just told us how you felt. I kept my voice flat. Did you think about how I'd feel when you booked those seats? My dad jumped in. We assumed you'd want to save money. You didn't ask, I replied. You just assumed. That word again. Assumed. I took a breath. All my life I did what you wanted. Got the grades. Married the guy you approved of. Kept my head down. And it still wasn't enough. You still treat me like I'm disposable. That's not fair, my mom said, voice cracking. What's not fair is expecting me to smile while you shove me to the back of the line, again and again. My dad's voice hardened. So this is about your childhood now? You brought it up, I said. With every decision you made, then and now. Ben shifted uncomfortably. Maybe we should take a break. No, I said, turning to him. Let's not. He blinked. What? You stood there and said nothing. I was humiliated, and you stayed quiet. I didn't want to make it worse, he said. No. You didn't want to be uncomfortable. So you let me be alone. My mom tried to jump in, but I held up a hand. This isn't just about the plane, I said. It's about the pattern. You treat me like a side note. And Ben. You let them. Ben stood. Okay, that's enough. No, it's not, I said, standing too. I didn't just fly to Seoul. I flew away from this. Later that night, Ben said something I didn't expect. If you keep acting like this, we won't have a marriage left. I stared at him. Like what? Like everything's a battle. Like you always have to win. I walked out. This wasn't about winning. It was about being respected. Ben didn't respond. Not then. I packed a bag and stayed with a friend for the week. A few mornings later, I checked my email and froze. My mom had sent me a business class ticket to Paris. No note. No message. Just a flight confirmation. 2 hours later, a text. We figured you'd prefer to go alone this time. And that's when it hit me. They still didn't get it. They thought throwing money at me was enough. That they could rewrite the story on their terms and pretend it never happened. I hadn't decided what to do. Maybe I'd take the ticket. Maybe I'd send it back. Maybe I'd block them all and never speak to them again. Ben was still trying to play neutral, and I was starting to realize neutral means not on your side. I thought the worst was over. The Tokyo escape. The dinner blow-up. But I was wrong. Because that ticket, it was bait. 3 days later, my cousin Julia called. Hey, why didn't you tell me you and your mom patched things up? She said you're going to Paris together. My stomach dropped. What are you talking about? She told Aunt Maggie you were doing a mother-daughter thing in Europe. Spa week in Provence. Said it was her way of making it up to you. I thought it was sweet. I checked the email again. Carefully. Round trip. 2 seats. The second passenger wasn't me. It was her. She booked herself a business class seat on my ticket and didn't even have the decency to lie about it. She told the whole family we were back on good terms. That we were traveling together. I hadn't even replied to the email. While I was processing that, I came home from work and my friend Natalie handed me her phone. You need to read this. It was a message from Ben to her. Not to check on me. Not to ask for help. To vent. And it wasn't pretty. She's spiraling. Making a big deal out of nothing. Her parents were being practical. But she always had this complex, you know? Honestly, I didn't sign up for this version of her. I just want the woman I married back. This version of her. Like I was some glitch in a system. Like I'd suddenly malfunctioned. I didn't yell. I didn't cry. I just left the house and went for a long walk. Eventually, I called my bank to follow up on a freelance payment. Then, just out of curiosity, I checked a couple of my other accounts. One of them, a travel savings account I'd built up over years, was empty. 0 balance. I thought it had to be an error. It wasn't. $7,200. Gone. Transferred before the Italy trip. Labeled. Joint travel upgrade. My breath caught. I searched my email again. One from a month ago popped up. Upgrade request confirmation. JFK to Rome. First class. 3 passengers. My dad. My mom. Ben. He had upgraded himself, with them, using my money. I came home. He was on the couch, watching TV like nothing happened. Who paid for your upgrade? I asked. He muted the screen, confused. What? I showed him the email. He went pale. It was a mistake, he blurted. I thought it was the joint account. No, I said quietly. That account ends in 8812. This was my personal one. He fumbled. Your parents offered to cover it. I didn't want to say no. So you said yes with my money? I thought we'd switch halfway through the flight, he muttered. You never said that. He ran his hands through his hair. I didn't think it would matter. You hate flying anyway. And that made it okay? He didn't answer. The next day I went to work, still quiet, still numb. Then I called a lawyer. Not for a divorce yet, just for clarity. Turns out, transferring money from someone's private account under false pretenses, it's illegal, even if you're married. I had timestamps, receipts, screenshots, bank logs, and the lawyer asked me something I hadn't considered. Do you think your husband was working with your parents? At first I said no, but now I wasn't so sure. Because this morning I got a FedEx envelope, no return address. Inside, just a flash drive and a note. You don't know everything. That was it. The drive is sitting on my desk right now. Unplugged, untouched, but glowing like a fuse waiting to be lit. I don't know who sent it. I don't know what's on it. But I'll find out, because I need to know the truth. This whole thing started with a plane ticket, but it was never about where I was sitting. It was about who saw me as less, who believed I belonged behind them, and what happened the moment I stopped playing along. That flash drive sat untouched on my kitchen counter for 2 full days. I'd pass by it, glance at it, even consider opening it, but couldn't bring myself to do it. It felt like it was daring me to press play first. Meanwhile, Jordan, my husband, had moved into the guest room since I confronted him about draining my account. We barely exchanged words. He walked around like a stranger, stiff, tense, quiet. Maybe he was scared. Maybe he should have been. I couldn't tell if I was more numb or furious. Eventually, I plugged it in. There was only one folder, labeled, "You should know the truth." I opened it. The first video was a screen recording. An email thread between Jordan and my mom. Subject: flight upgrade. From Jordan. We're good for 3 seats, right? I'll move the rest from her savings. She won't notice. She barely checks that account. Just keep it quiet. I want this trip to go smooth. And my mom replied, "Perfect. I'll handle it." She's not picky about that kind of thing. Thanks for being so easy to coordinate with. It's much simpler working through you. The next file was audio, probably recorded by my cousin Tessa. I recognized my mom's voice instantly. She always gets emotional. If we give her too much, she accuses us of buying affection. Too little, and it's all "you forgot me again." It's honestly exhausting. And Jordan? Yeah, she's a lot sometimes. She'll get over it, Mom replied. She always does. I didn't cry, didn't scream. I just felt this stillness, like my entire chest had gone hollow. The next morning, I put the flash drive in an envelope and drove straight to my parents' house. No warning. They were sitting in the kitchen like it was any other Sunday morning. Coffee mugs, banana bread, faux suburban bliss. My mom looked up. Oh, what a nice surprise. I slid the envelope across the table. Play it. My dad looked confused. Jordan walked in from the back patio at that exact moment. I guess they invited him too. I stood there, arms crossed, while they listened to every second of that footage. The email, the phone call, every word. When it ended, nobody said a thing. My mom was ghost pale. My dad looked like he'd been punched in the gut. Jordan was just blank. I finally asked, "How long have I been the joke?" Mom opened her mouth, but I cut her off. "Don't even try. You literally called me exhausting. And Jordan, you took my money to upgrade yourself and left me in the back. That wasn't helping. That was betrayal," Jordan stammered. "I just wanted to keep things smooth." "By stealing from me?" I snapped. "By leaving me out, so you could drink champagne with them while I sat next to the bathroom in coach." My voice cracked. Mom started crying. "We didn't mean it. You never mean it. That's the problem." Dad, quietly. "You've always been strong. We didn't think you needed as much." There it was. The same excuse they'd been using since I was 10. "I didn't need handouts," I said. "I needed parents. And I thought I married a partner. But instead, I married someone who stays silent when I'm left behind." Jordan tried to step forward. "We can fix this." "No," I said. "We've talked for years. Nobody listened." I walked out, got in my car, slammed the door so hard it rattled. Someone called my name behind me. I didn't stop. I drove until I hit a town I barely recognized. Pulled into an empty lot and just sat there. Hours passed. I didn't care. It's been 5 weeks. Jordan and I are separated. The lawyer's handling the financials. He's called twice. I never picked up. Mom sent flowers, then a long letter, then silence. They're probably still angry, but maybe now they understand. Tessa called. She said, "I'm the one who recorded it." I thought you needed to hear it. She didn't need to apologize. She gave me clarity. Here's what I've learned. Some people only love you when you make their lives easier. When you're quiet. When you let things go. When you never ask for more than they're willing to give. But the moment you speak up, the moment you ask for fairness, suddenly you're difficult. Well, I'm not difficult. I'm awake. And once you see it, once you really see it, you can't go back. They'll survive without me. But I don't think they'll ever understand what they lost. As for me, I'm in a tiny rental now. I cook for one. I sleep better. I take spontaneous trips. It's not perfect. I'm not fully healed. But I'm free. And sometimes peace doesn't come from fixing broken people. Sometimes peace is booking your own flight, first class, and never looking back.